Have you ever considered that the birds fluttering around your city might actually be on a covert mission? That the animals crossing your path could be silently fulfilling critical responsibilities for a secret government agency, or acting as the eyes and ears for an intelligence operation? In a world where information is power, nothing is as innocent as it seems. Every shadow, every movement, every seemingly ordinary creature could be part of a carefully orchestrated plan to gather data, observe patterns, and report back without raising the slightest suspicion. This is the hidden world of animal espionage, a realm where the ordinary is extraordinary, and nature becomes an unlikely ally in the silent, high-stakes game of intelligence. Before we dive deeper into this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss the rest of this incredible journey. Trust me, you won't want to miss how these unlikely agents changed the way nations spy. At the height of the Cold War, fear shaped every major decision made by global intelligence agencies. The world was divided into hostile camps, and mistrust traveled faster than diplomacy. In this atmosphere, traditional espionage no longer felt sufficient. Intelligence services began searching for unconventional advantages methods so unexpected that no one would think to look for them. Throughout history, humans have relied on animals during conflict. Horses carried soldiers into battle. Dogs tracked enemies by scent. Elephants crushed defenses through sheer force. These uses were visible and direct. But during the Cold War, the relationship between humans and animals quietly shifted from the battlefield to the shadows. Modern espionage required secrecy above all else. Human spies could be identified, followed, arrested, or executed. Surveillance technology existed, but it was expensive, limited, and often detectable. Intelligence agencies needed something that could move freely, attract no suspicion, and reach places humans could not. Animals offered a tempting solution. They moved naturally through cities, skies, and seas. No one questioned a bird landing on a building or a dolphin swimming near a harbor. Unlike machines, animals blended perfectly into their environments. To intelligence planners, this invisibility looked like a strategic gift. But animals were not spies by nature. They could not read maps, understand missions, or follow political objectives. If intelligence agencies wanted to use them, they would need to reshape instinct through training, conditioning, and technology. That challenge gave birth to some of the strangest experiments in espionage history. During the 1960s, the United States Central Intelligence Agency was locked in a silent competition with the Soviet Union. Both sides feared surprise attacks, hidden weapons, and secret facilities. In response, the CIA funded a wide range of experimental programs, many of them highly classified and deeply unconventional. Some of these projects explored mind control, others focused on silent weapons or psychological warfare. Among them was a lesser-known initiative that aimed to transform animals into tools of intelligence collection. The idea was simple in theory and risky in practice. Train animals to deliver, place, or retrieve surveillance devices without being noticed. One of the earliest efforts focused on birds. Birds could fly over restricted areas, reach rooftops and windows, and return to their handlers without drawing attention. If trained correctly, they could carry small objects across distances that were difficult or dangerous for humans. In the mid-1960s, the CIA launched a classified effort known internally as Project Axiolite. Official documents described its goal in technical language, but the core idea was straightforward: create reliable, trained avian platforms capable of transporting surveillance equipment to precise locations. At the start, no one knew which birds would be suitable. Some species were strong, but difficult to control. Others were intelligent, but fragile. Trainers experimented with multiple candidates, testing their endurance, memory, and responsiveness under real-world conditions. Parrots and cockatoos were briefly considered, but their behavior was unpredictable. Hawks showed promise due to their strength and focus. Some could carry relatively heavy payloads, and locate specific objects across unfamiliar terrain. However, their visibility and aggressive nature made them risky for covert work. Owls presented another possibility. They performed well in low-light conditions and could respond to high-frequency signals. Yet during daylight, their visual precision dropped significantly. This limited their usefulness for many surveillance scenarios. As testing continued, one unexpected candidate began to outperform the rest: the raven. Long misunderstood as simple scavengers, ravens demonstrated exceptional intelligence. They learned quickly, adapted to changing conditions, and displayed advanced problem-solving skills. Modern research has since confirmed what trainers were discovering firsthand. Ravens possess strong memories, can plan ahead, and are capable of using tools. Even as juveniles, they can perform cognitive tasks comparable to adult primates. During Project Axiolite, this intelligence translated into operational reliability. One raven in particular stood out. Known by the code name Duda, he quickly became the most capable bird in the program. Training began at a naval facility on San Clemente Island, off the coast of California, where birds were tested under challenging wind and distance conditions. Most birds struggled to complete flights between the island and nearby boats. Strong winds and long distances exhausted them. Duda, however, consistently exceeded expectations. He flew farther than required and adjusted his altitude instinctively to compensate for changing wind patterns. As trainers increased the difficulty, Duda continued to improve. Over time, he nearly doubled his flight range. More impressively, he learned from experience. Each mission refined his approach, suggesting not just conditioning, but understanding. Environmental threats soon revealed another challenge. Wild birds began noticing the training routines. Gulls and native ravens learned when the CIA birds would appear and attack them mid-flight. Several trained birds were injured or lost. Duda adapted again. He altered his flight path, flying higher to avoid gulls and engaging briefly with hostile ravens before drawing them away from the mission route. Once the threat retreated, he resumed his course. Trainers documented these behaviors with growing amazement. Flying ability was only part of the mission. Ravens were also trained to recognize specific locations, objects, and signals. According to trainers, they could identify desks, open drawers, and carry items such as small folders or devices. With these skills, intelligence planners envisioned a precise surveillance operation. An agent would position himself within sight of a target building. Using a small laser, he would mark a specific window ledge. Upon release, the raven would fly directly to that location. The bird would carry a miniature listening device, place it at the marked spot, and leave without drawing attention. Later, a light signal would recall the raven, allowing it to retrieve the device and return to the handler. On paper, the system appeared elegant and nearly invisible. In practice, reality proved less cooperative. Birds molted and temporarily lost flight efficiency. Devices were sometimes placed on the wrong ledges. Environmental noise often overwhelmed recordings. According to declassified records, the method may have been attempted only once in real conditions, and it likely failed to produce usable intelligence. Despite years of training, operational reliability remained fragile. Duda's story ended abruptly. During one flight, he engaged with 2 wild ravens and disappeared beyond the cliffs. He never returned. Trainers concluded that he had likely been killed during the encounter. Internal memos expressed unusual emotion for intelligence documents. Trainers described Duda as exceptional, resourceful, and uniquely talented. His loss marked both the end of a remarkable experiment and the limits of what training alone could achieve. Yet the CIA did not abandon animal surveillance. Birds had shown promise, but they were only one piece of a much larger effort. Elsewhere, planners were already experimenting with creatures that could move silently through cities and even beneath the ocean as surface. While birds like Duda demonstrated what was possible in the skies. Intelligence agencies began looking to the water. The oceans and rivers of the world presented an entirely different set of challenges and opportunities. Just as birds could move unnoticed through cities and airspace, aquatic creatures could glide beneath the surface without triggering the usual alarms. Dolphins, in particular, drew the attention of the CIA and the U.S. Navy, known for their intelligence, agility, and remarkable ability to work closely with humans. Dolphins offered a way to extend espionage into the aquatic domain. In the early 1960s, an engineer named James W. Fitzgerald began advocating for the military use of dolphins. At a cocktail party, he casually mentioned that these animals could perform complex underwater tasks, and the conversation caught the attention of a naval officer with ties to intelligence operations. Soon after, Fitzgerald found himself working on a top-secret project, laying the groundwork for what would later become known as Project Oxyus. The goal was audacious: train dolphins to carry, place, and retrieve objects, possibly even explosive devices, against enemy ships. Project Oxyus began in Florida, where controlled marine environments allowed trainers to experiment safely. Dolphins responded to commands, learned tasks quickly, and developed bonds with their handlers critical for success in missions that would require obedience under high-stress circumstances. Initial experiments were promising. Dolphins could tow dummy payloads across a designated course, placing them with surprising precision. These successes encouraged the CIA and the Navy to consider more advanced applications. Drawings from the project depict dolphins carrying harnesses or nose-mounted equipment. While the exact nature of the simulated payloads remains classified, speculation suggests that the intent was to explore methods of underwater sabotage or surveillance. Some reports even hint that, at the height of Cold War ambitions, miniaturized nuclear devices were considered for future operations, though whether this was realistic remains uncertain. Despite early successes, trainers soon realized the limitations. Dolphins were intelligent, yes, but also unpredictable. They were social creatures who responded strongly to rewards and reinforcement, and any deviation from their learned patterns could compromise missions. Handling them required patience, precise timing, and careful observation of their emotional state. Long-distance operations posed a challenge, as dolphins might refuse tasks or get distracted by natural stimuli. The project shifted toward intelligence gathering, placing listening devices near enemy submarines, retrieving dead drops, or performing reconnaissance tasks that humans could not accomplish underwater. Meanwhile, other CIA initiatives explored terrestrial animals. Acoustic Kitty, perhaps the most infamous example, was a cat surgically implanted with a microphone and antenna to eavesdrop on conversations. The premise was simple yet radical. Cats can roam urban environments unnoticed. A well-trained cat, fitted with technology, could listen to high-level conversations in public spaces without drawing attention. However, reality proved harsh. Cats are independent creatures, motivated by instinct. Training could only go so far. Early experiments required careful monitoring, manipulation of the animal's impulses, and even invasive surgeries to embed equipment. Reports vary on the operational deployment, but one account suggests that Acoustic Kitty was tragically killed during a test, struck by a taxi while attempting a mission. Whether the project continued afterward is unclear, but it serves as a cautionary tale of the limits of controlling nature. Parallel to Acoustic Kitty, the CIA experimented with other animal platforms. Squirrels, lizards, and even insects were evaluated for their potential to gather intelligence. Some experiments involved implanting miniature transmitters in lizards to observe movements near sensitive sites. Insects were sometimes fitted with tiny devices to monitor environmental conditions or even record audio. These projects often highlighted a persistent tension: the ingenuity of technology versus the unpredictability of living beings. One of the more ambitious mechanical innovations was the insectopter, a miniature, gas-powered flying device resembling a dragonfly. It could carry a microphone and was capable of controlled flight guided by lasers. While technically impressive, it was vulnerable to environmental factors like wind and proved impractical for operational use. Nevertheless, the project demonstrated the CIA's willingness to explore unconventional platforms, blending biology with engineering. Despite the ingenuity, animal espionage often faced logistical and practical challenges. Birds could fly off course, be lost to predators, or fail to deliver equipment correctly. Aquatic creatures could become distracted or refuse to obey commands during crucial missions. Cats and terrestrial mammals were often too independent to follow complex instructions reliably. The cost, time, and manpower invested in these programs frequently exceeded the tangible intelligence gathered. By the mid-1970s, many of the animal programs had lost momentum. Publicly, they remained obscure, while internally, intelligence agencies assessed the lessons learned. Birds had demonstrated potential for precise aerial reconnaissance. Dolphins had shown extraordinary abilities in underwater environments, though operational deployment was limited. Cats and other mammals provided insights into behavioral training, but few programs achieved practical, repeatable results. Yet the legacy of these experiments endured. They pushed the boundaries of what intelligence agencies considered possible. They forced a re-evaluation of how living organisms could be integrated into espionage work and highlighted the tension between human control and animal autonomy. Each failure, mishap, or lost animal contributed to a body of knowledge that informed later technological innovations, from drones to autonomous underwater vehicles. The CIA's experience with animal intelligence also inspired future research in the private and academic sectors. DARPA and universities began exploring neural interfaces, remote-controlled insects, and other biohybrid systems. While modern espionage increasingly relies on robotics and AI, the principles tested during the Cold War remain relevant, leveraging natural abilities, minimizing detection, and creating operational redundancy. As with all covert programs, much remains classified. Redactions in declassified documents leave gaps that fuel speculation, debate, and intrigue. The true extent of operational success or failure may never be known. What is clear, however, is that intelligence agencies were willing to think beyond conventional tools, experimenting with life itself as a medium of surveillance. Ultimately, these animal projects reveal both the audacity and hubris of Cold War intelligence. The same creativity that enabled breakthrough reconnaissance also led to spectacular failures, expensive mistakes, and sometimes tragic losses. Duda the raven, acoustic kitty, trained dolphins all symbolize a time when the line between science fiction and intelligence operations blurred in pursuit of national security. The story of Cold War animal espionage is a window into human imagination, fear, and determination. It shows how the simplest creatures, birds, cats, dolphins, even insects, were elevated to agents of the state, carrying out missions beyond the imagination of ordinary citizens. They remind us that espionage is not only a battle of technology and skill, but also of ingenuity, patience, and the courage to explore the unpredictable. Though many of the original programs were abandoned, the quest to harness natural abilities continues. Today, advanced research explores neural control of insects, aquatic biosensors, and other methods that could integrate living creatures into intelligence frameworks. Each project carries echoes of past ambition, lessons learned, and the eternal human drive to see the unseen. Animal espionage may no longer dominate headlines, but its influence persists in the principles guiding modern intelligence: adaptiveness, stealth, and the inventive use of all available resources. As we look to the future, it is worth remembering the stories of Duda, Acoustic Kitty, and other unlikely agents. They embody the strange, sometimes tragic, and always fascinating intersection of nature and national security. In conclusion, animal espionage teaches us a complex lesson. Innovation often comes with risk. The desire to gain an edge can drive extraordinary experiments, some successful, others doomed from the start. It reminds us that intelligence work extends beyond technology and human operatives, reaching into the natural world itself. While some programs failed spectacularly, the knowledge gained helped shape the evolution of espionage techniques in ways still relevant today.